this video is going to be a bit of a mess. So after I made this video about Transformers, I dived even deeper into the fandom, and I'm working on a part 2 to that video. In the meantime, this love evolved into a love for planes. Now, I knew nothing about planes except that they fly around in the sky, but USB is a huge fan of aircraft, and he showed me a ton of videos about aircraft. So this video is going to be an unorganized rant about how cool planes are. Buckle up. First off, I really like how it looks when planes turn. That is just sick. Look at him go! My little baby off to destroy people. Also, I discovered plane ASMR. Now, some of it is really peaceful, like riding inside of bombers. And some of it is more of an acquired taste.
Altitude. Altitude.
Now let's dive into my favorite plane of all time, the F-15. Not only is this guy unmatched in the world of dogfights, but the story behind how it was built is actually pretty wild. So way back in 1970, the Soviet Union introduced to the world the MiG-25. This plane was speedy. It was the Sonic of the sky. And that scared the Americans. Because remember, at this point in history, those of us in the Yeehaw Kingdom ain't too friendly with the commies that start to party. In any case, this thing is fast and loaded with weapons. Seeing this thing in action triggered the American fight or flight response. And we chose both by creating the F-15. In an attempt to copy the MiG-25, the US created a fighter plane that was not only super fast, but also maneuverable and had good radar, and other cool tricks that are needed for the fighting planes. Then, in 1976, a pilot defected from the Soviet Union and brought his MiG-25 with him. Upon inspecting the plane, it turns out that the MiG-25, while fast, that was pretty much it. It was heavy and had bad radar and ultimately wasn't the plane that we feared that it was. And that's hilarious to me. The Soviets scared us so hard that we hit them back with the craziest dogfighter plane anyone had ever seen. Another thing that I like about the F-15 is that the later models have 2 seats. One guy steers and the other guy drops bombs and presses buttons, and I think that teamwork is adorable. Also adorable is when the intake valve goes up and down. It looks like he's waving. Now, in the world of Transformers, one of my favorite boys ever is Jetfire. Or Skyfire. This guy. In the Michael Bay movies, he's a Lockheed SR-71, and again, we used this bad boy against Russia. This funny-looking boy was a spy plane, but what made it so impressive was its speed and altitude. Not only could this thing go supersonic speeds, but it could continue at those speeds for long periods of time. Also, it could climb to heights that no other plane at the time could go to. So it would literally go so high into the atmosphere that it was literally on the edge of space. Also, this thing was tiny on the radar. But let's say that it was detected or spotted at some point. The Russians literally didn't have a plane to send up there to shoot it down. Now, that's not to say that it was never shot at, but the thing is, this thing was so fast that it would just outfly the missiles.
3-7.
Speaking of planes going fast, did you know that some planes could go so fast that they could shoot themselves out of the sky? This was first recorded in 1956 when an F-11 fired its guns, then flew so fast that it got in front of the bullets and shot itself down. Anyways, this is the B-1. He's very long and lanky, but I love him and I call him Lancer. The B-1 is often called the Bone because, you know, you get it. Does this qualify as a pun? What's really cool about Lancer is that his quirky wings can show emotions. When they're out, it means that he feels like being a normal member of society. But when they're in sport mode, he feels like zooming through the air at really fast speeds and making really cool noises. The B-17 isn't my favorite type of plane, but boy does it have some cool stories. So back in World War II, a bunch of B-17s are bombing the Germans and kicking butt, but as the battle goes on, this one B-17 gets separated from all his friends. Worse than being lonely, it's in rough shape. There's bullet holes all over this thing. It's missing chunks of the frame, and the engines are basically campfires. It's a miracle this thing is still in the air. When all of a sudden, a German fighter plane pulls up next to it. The German pilot can see straight through the plane, and inside he sees wounded and dying men. He flies up to the cockpit and makes eye contact with the American pilot. The German signals them to land. The American is like, yeah, heck no. So ultimately, the German escorts them over enemy lines, and with a little salute, he waves goodbye, which is a pretty sick story on its own. But it gets even better when the German and American pilots find each other again in 1990, and were really good friends until they died in 2008. The Sabaton song for this is so good. I'll have that song and other videos that explain all this better in the description. The B-17 also made me realize that nothing is more sad yet heroic than sending out a fleet of bombers only for one of them to return home. But yeah, that's another story, and I'll put a video for that in the description as well. Now keep in mind, I am not a helicopter person, but the Chinooks are pretty cool. I dig this. I would ride around in one of these. But I still think it would be funny if it had an ejection seat. And space shuttles, don't even get me started on those.
Start, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery, returning to the space station, paving the way for future missions beyond.
I love them so much. Here's a clip of me watching Transformers. And then becoming emotionally invested in the space shuttle the moment it's on screen. I wasn't filming. Oh my gosh, look. Whoa, it's launching. That looks so cool. No, you leave that space shuttle alone. Oh, I'm so mad. Starscream, my beloved. No. This is so sad. There it goes. To wrap up this little rant, I just wanted to say that planes are cool. I want to learn more about them, and maybe this is why I don't know how to get along with other girls my age.